right, guys. Welcome back. This is part 2 of the Thanos War. I'm going to do my best to give you guys a recap.
Previously on Memories. Wait, wrong show.
No! These memories are not guaranteed. I don't even... This is why we're doing this.
Previously on Webheads.
All right, so far we've had Iron Man and Drax show up and fight the Blood Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Thanos has been on a rampage around the universe, killing people, and now he's on his way to Earth to kill everybody there to impress his love interest,
Lady Death.
And his only goal is to take over Earth and kill everybody in the hopes that she falls in love with him. The only way he can do that is by finding the cosmic cube, which he had to steal the location from Rick Jones's brain that Rick Jones didn't even know he had in there.
Who?
Rick Jones. We got Captain Marvel in front of Eon, the decider of who protects the universe. And Captain Marvel is being told that he, thousands of years ago, has been seen as the protector of the universe at this moment. But he needs to get himself out of the warrior mind state that he's been in his whole life.
Level up. Protector of the universe unlocked.
I'm just going to cut something in there. But yeah, that is where we're at right now. It seems like not that much is going on, but if you go back, if you haven't listened to part 1, I would suggest doing that first.
Yeah.
If you have, let's get started on part 2.
Let's go.
So, we head back to Marvel asking Eon, why the hell did you bring me here? And he states that the universe needs a protector and a champion. And the champion is you, but it can only be you if you're willing to make the change. So they gave him a wild flashback to show him why the universe actually needs him. So he's seen all these bad things happening, and they actually show him things that could happen if he doesn't do this. And then Eon explains that billions of light years ago, someone named Kronos, who Marvel doesn't know, or Marvel doesn't know who that is at this point. Kronos saw into the future, basically on some Not So Raven kind of shit, and saw that Thanos is getting the cosmic cube, and that Marvel would be the only one who would have even a slim chance at beating him. So it was almost kind of like on some Doctor Strange kind of things, like, well, we only got one shot.
Oh.
And so he decides that he wants to become the protector. And Eon changes him ever so slightly, so his hair goes from... I don't know if you knew this, but Captain Marvel had silver hair.
I always imagined it with blonde.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But he's had silver hair this whole time. So Eon changed him. And then the only visible change that we see is that his hair goes from silver to blonde. And then we see that Rick Jones is still stuck under the rubble, and somehow he's running out of air. He's not crushed by anything. He can move around in the little pocket that he's in, but he's running out of air. But I've never been stuck under a building, so I don't know how that works. But yeah, finally some of the Avengers are basically waking up, finally, and they help him get out of there.
Put to sleep.
Yeah. So now that he's out of there, his first thing is like, well, I got to go find Luann. Because I forgot to say that in the last episode, that when the controller crushed everything, he took Luann with him.
Mm.
So now Rick's on his way to go find her. And there's a lot of cuts in the story, like back and forth between like different places. So we make another cut. Sorry. And the controller is giving a speech to all of his slaves. He basically got them all into one place, and he starts giving the speech. And then in the middle of his speech, Thanos cuts him off, and he says, "Those slaves are mine, buddy." and he's like, "You're gonna like mess up my whole plan right now because now all of these people are out in one spot, and like these are all people that shouldn't be together in the first place. Like, and now you got them all in, and basically like in this big out and open place, giving a fucking speech to all of them. You're gonna ruin it." So he says you have two choices. Thanos tells the controller you have two choices. One is to kill Marvel when he shows up, or two, kill Marvel when he shows up. And he gives it to him exactly like that. Two choices, really only one option. You better kill him. So Marvel, he makes his way to where the controller is, and he starts playing mind games, like calling him by his government name.
Basil.
Yeah. And when I saw that, it was kind of like I kept thinking about 8 Mile when he was in that battle, and he was like, what did he say? I don't know. He's called Anthony Mackie Clarence. I can't remember the line right now. Yeah, so he calls him Basil. And for some reason that pisses him off. So the Collector is getting beat down, and he hates how this whole thing is planning out for him. So he basically jumps in that. He pumps himself up. He's like, "No, I'm not going out like this. It doesn't work." He just gets beat down completely, and then Marvel throws him out of the window like a sack of potatoes, like hard. And the controller makes his way back to where Marvel is, and because Marvel threw him out of the window like that, he thought, okay, we're done here. So he's searching around the building, and he finds Luann. The controller makes his way back to where they're at. So now he's like, nah, that's that girl is mine. Like, I'm taking her wherever I go. So if I'm dying, she's dying too. And if I haven't explained like what the controller's powers are here yet, he uses those slave discs to control people, and then he can sap their strength. Like, that's the reason why he's as strong as he is, because everybody that has that slave disc on, he's slowly like sapping their strength, and it's becoming his, and he can use it for himself. So that's why that's basically why he ran through the Avengers like the freaking like the '08 Lions. like like they were just nothing. But anyways, Marvel and the controller are face to face again, and the controller is freaking out because Marvel has this cosmic awareness that was given to him by Eon, and now the controller is just staring at him, and Marvel's face is just like his face is starting to slowly fade. Marvel's face is slowly fading away, and then all of a sudden, like as his face is fading away, it's slowly turning into like this cosmic, like starry kind of face. Like all of his features go away, and they all become like the galaxy. So controller's staring at him like, what the fuck is this? What is this? I have no idea what's going on. But he's like, well, I got to go out fighting. So they're fighting, going back and forth, swing for swing. And then in the middle of the fight, Thanos basically astral projects himself in front of the controller, and he says, hey, you failed. Like, you're not going to win this. And then he kills him. And then because he killed him, all the slave discs are useless now, because he was the one controlling them. So now Luann is free. She doesn't have the slave disc on anymore. And then Marvel switches with Rick so he can be with his girl. And then we cut again to the west coast of America. And we see Iron Man flying over the desert to an area where he first met Thanos. And for some reason, the Thing is just walking through the desert. Like, he's just out in the middle of the desert just walking.
We haven't seen him since
that fight with Captain Marvel
in New York.
Yeah, and now he's in the middle of the desert on the West Coast. It makes no sense. So the Thing is walking through the desert, and he sees Tony fly over him, and he's pissed. He's like, I saw Iron Man fly over me. Why didn't he stop and pick me up? I'm in the middle of the desert here. So he gets super pissed. And then Tony ends up like they're not too far from like this big building in the middle of the desert. It's like a lab. So Tony gets to the lab and he's searching around the lab looking for clues on Thanos. And then he's met by the Blood Brothers again, and he's losing pretty bad again. And then yeah, he's losing, and then all of a sudden the thing finally makes it there, and he shows up for ready to fight, and he helps Tony, but it's not much help because the thing starts getting beat down too. So these guys are strong. Like they're taking on both of these guys and handling both of them easily. So finally, after a long while, they start to get Thing and Iron Man start to get the upper hand. They finally pull out the win in the closing seconds of the fight, and then Thanos pulls up on them. Thanos pulls them back. He pulls the Blood Brothers back after they got beat. Basically, like when your Pokemon passes out, just oh, get back here. And then we head back to the Avengers mansion in all of the rubble. Drax shows up and wants to speak to somebody over at Avengers mansion to figure out what the hell's going on, but they don't know who Drax is. So they're like, well, we've already had one person show up here today, and it didn't go well for us. So they start like just rant, like they bum rush Drax. Like, no, like you got to get the hell out of here. They start beating up Drax, and then that keeps going on until Marvel finally shows up and says, "Hey, you guys got to stop!" Like, he tells the Avengers that this is Drax. He's here to. His only purpose is to stop Thanos. And then he says, "Hey, I also need all of your guys' help because I don't know if I can do all this on my own." And then somewhere, Thanos is just relaxing. He's chasing Death around, just kind of following her, trying to get her to talk to him. And then finally, that's when he confesses that like he actually loves Death. And then yeah, that was that for that part. And then we make another cut. This would be a horrible TV show. And then he teleports Iron Man, Drax, Captain Marvel, and a fourth person that they don't show really. It's like a shadowy person, but I don't know who it is. But he teleports all four of them to where he's at, and they're like, "Well, what the hell is this?" So they immediately try to attack Thanos. He's like, "No, pause that." He basically suspends them all up in the air. And it's because he has the cube now. So we find out that before that, he had gotten a hold of Mentor and Eros as well. So now he has, I don't know who the fourth person was. They don't ever mention anything else. But right now, all we have is Mentor, Eros, Drax, Iron Man, and Marvel, all just like floating in midair, and they can't do a single thing. He has them stuck there. So Big T says that he plans to make all of them watch as Earth and the solar system around it just completely collapse under his reign. Thanos takes them on an adventure around the cosmos. First, he takes them to Mars to see his fleet of planet-destroying ships waiting on his word to blow up Earth. Then Eros says, even if you destroy Earth, Kronos will stop you from taking the rest of the galaxy. So he's like, no, let me show you something else. And then they all get taken to where Kronos is because he's still alive. And Kronos is basically in shackles made of planet-sized energy spheres. So Kronos is not just like a regular human.
Yeah.
Like how do I explain it? Well, he's an Eternal.
Yeah.
So, but he's a very large Eternal. Almost like he's like celestial size, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
like the actual Greek god.
Yeah. So he's like when I say planet size, energy spheres are keeping him like in shackles. Like they're huge. So so Thanos is like, well, yeah, you think you're gonna win, but I got Grandpa locked up over here. So, what do you think you guys are gonna do? So then he's like, all right, well, let's go. So he takes them all back to his office, and then he tells them they have every reason now to believe that everything that they ever loved is gonna die soon. So Marvel is trying his hardest to break through the force field that he has on them, but he's only able to just cling his wrists together just a little bit. But that's enough for him and Rick to make the switch again. And then in doing so, it somehow like short circuits the rest of the force field around everybody else, and now they're all free. So they try to jump Thanos, but of course it doesn't work. Mentor hasn't moved since the shields broke. His shield broke, and he's just like standing there. He's like, I'm not going nowhere. But he's basically trying to work. He's not moving because he's trying to work on manipulating the computer Isaac. That gives because the computer gives Titan its whole life force. It's basically powering the whole planet. So he's trying to silently and slowly work his way to manipulating the computer. He ends up stopping. He ends up being able to stop the planet from spinning in place, but that somehow throws the planet off into space. Like the planet stops moving, and all of a sudden it just like leaves from its normal spot, and now it's just bobbing around the solar system. And then with that, Thanos drops the cosmic cube, and now is the time for them to like really get at him. So they try to jump him again, and this time it's working pretty well. But not for long, as Thanos gets the upper hand again. He finds the cube, and he restrains them all again. Thanos starts his final plan, and it basically this huge inferno just fills the whole room, and the cosmic cube drops to the floor with all of its power just completely drained from it. And then suddenly we see Thanos just disappear. Only for a few minutes later, we see him on this big screen in his office, and he has used the cube to turn himself into a literal god. So now he's everything all at once.
You've said this a couple of times, but I just keep thinking of the fact that he has an office.
Yeah. It's a nice office. A lot of screens, a lot of computers. And I just can't think of any other way to describe it. So, now he's just a literal god. But Drax sticks around because his only job is to still kill Thanos. So he's got to figure out somehow to do it. Good luck with that because it's not going to really happen. And then the rest of them just start heading to this place on Titan called the Hall of Science, which is where Isaac is located. On the way, they lose Mentor and Eros. Mentor just doesn't have the energy anymore because he used all of it to kind of throw everything off in the first place. And Eros gets attacked and just can't go any further. So the rest of the team get to Isaac, and then they use it to find out. They use it to find a weakness in Thanos, because Isaac has recorded anything that's ever happened on Titan in the first place. So, and his weakness is his ego. Simple enough. But Thanos isn't done with them, so he sends some goons down to where they are in the Hall of Science, and then they finally get taken care of, beat down, and Thanos is doing all of this, of course, to impress Lady Death, which we've said before. And while he's whispering sweet nothings into Lady Death's ear, Drax shows up and starts fighting him again. But he's basically just fighting air. Like he's a god. Like just like all you see is like an outline of his face in the stars. So Drax shows up just swinging at the air, and then to beat Drax, Thanos messes with his mind again, and then he shows him his past life. So Drax was originally a human on Earth, and Thanos had come to Earth to kind of like survey the area, and had flown by Drax. His name on Earth was Arthur. He had flown by his car that he was driving with his wife and his daughter in the back seat. And Thanos was like, "Well, I can't have anybody see me, so let me. I'm gonna kill. Let me just blow up the car." So he blows up the car, kills, or thinks that he kills everybody in the car, but he only killed Arthur and the wife. And then Mentor had seen all of this go down, and he was like, "Well, I can't just leave the little girl there by herself." So he goes down to Earth. He picks up the little girl and then brings her back to raise her on Titan.
Mm.
And then I don't know if you know the character, but her name's Moondragon.
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw on the Webheads page that I posted Ben spanking somebody.
Yeah.
That was Moondragon. I don't know why. I didn't find the story, so I don't know why he was spanking her. But yeah. So yeah, Mentor had raised Moondragon as his own on Titan. Kronos had gotten the soul from Arthur when he passed and put it into this humanoid, basically like almost like Vision. Put that soul into him and when made Drax. Drax didn't know any of that previous stuff. He only knew that he was created to kill Thanos. But now we're at the point where Thanos has showed Drax that past. So basically, he shows it to him, shows him his past life where his wife and his daughter were attacked and killed, and shows that his daughter had been alive this whole time, and she came up as Moondragon. So this is freaking Drax out. He's losing it. He's like, "What the hell is all this? I don't like these aren't my memories." He doesn't get it. We cut back to Earth, and the Avengers had just noticed that fleet of ships that Thanos had up there are getting closer and closer to Earth. So Marvel and Rick switch again. So sorry, we switch back again, and then Marvel and Rick switch again because the goons are only programmed to fight Marvel. So the goons that Thanos sent in to fight are only programmed to fight Captain Marvel, not Rick. So they're like, well, let's just switch. And then they just stop. They don't go any further. And so now that Rick knows that Thanos' weakness is his ego, he starts there, or he starts attacking there, only for Big T to just shrink down to back to his normal size and threaten Rick and Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, they switch back again. Captain Marvel shows up with his arms finally long enough to box God because he's got that champion spirit now, the protector spirit. And they're going blow for blow, but Thanos prevails again. We cut again to the Avengers all hopping in their ships and flying towards that fleet of ships that's up there. Once we're up there, Thor and the ships start running through the fleet pretty quickly. That's they're not good, whoever they are. Like Thor is he's flowing through all of them, and then we see Mantis, Scarlet Witch, Vision, and the Swordsman commandeer the main ship that's up there from the fleet, and they destroy that. So now there's no communication between any of the ships, and they've wrecked everything. Like the 6 Avengers just ran through like a whole fleet of ships, and like it was I wrote it like this, but like it really looked like they were just playing Galaga the whole time. It was just going, the bullets just going through like this, and so yeah, Thanos had transported himself to the Avengers mansion, waiting for because he knew that they were all up in space. So he's like, "Let me go down here and wait for them just in case they come back." He says none of them would ever be able to understand. He's sitting there just talking to himself. He's like, none of these guys would ever be able to understand why he's done what he's done. We find out that while the Avengers were in space, Thanos moved their Earth. This man is the god now. He moved their Earth to a different time and area in space, and then placed a decoy Earth where theirs was. So now they ran through the fleet of ships, and they're going back to what they think is their Earth, but it's not. The only one on their Earth now is Captain Marvel, which is all bad for him, you would think. And then all of this is being done so Thanos could impress Death. And she has never said a word yet. But as Thanos is talking, she turns her attention to the skies because she sees something coming in. And guess who it is? It's Drax flying in. And then he comes in flying, screaming. He's like, "You could never get rid of me, Thanos." And then he has like these. His powers are very different from the movie, but he has like these blasts that just come out of his hands, and he just starts as he's coming down screaming. He's just shooting these blasts at Thanos. And then finally, Captain Marvel shows up to fight alongside Drax. Thanos basically just goes full God mode, outline in the sky basically. And he says, "Let's hurry up and get this over with. I don't have time to deal with you guys anymore." So Captain Marvel tells Drax, "Hey, distract him for a little bit. I'll be back." And the way he says it, it seems like Captain Marvel doesn't actually have a plan. He just wants Drax to kind of deal with this for a little bit. But when he gets away, he runs into Mantis and the hologram of Isaac. And she gives him the cosmic cube, and she says that she has a plan. The reason Mantis wasn't on the other Earth with the rest of the Avengers is because of like the powers that she has didn't allow Thanos to control anything that was going on with her. And so she says that she has a plan. They realize that a god needs worshippers to continue to survive, but Thanos has none except maybe Death. But they still believe that he may still be using powers from the cosmic cube. But they're confused because when Thanos first got the cube, he used it to gain his godly powers, and he just kind of tossed it to the side. And then, so out of nowhere, the sky-faced Thanos shows up again. He's like, "Hey, you guys need to shut up. I can hear everything that you guys are saying. You guys can't win this." So he shuts down that whole meeting between them. And then he's like, "You're not gonna figure me out. You can't. You can't win this." And then I don't know why, but the cosmic cube is just kind of laying on the ground, not far from where Marvel is. So he's like, he sees it like out of the corner of his eye, and he's just kind of like staring back at Thanos. And then he like jumps for it, trying to like reach it, and then Thanos throws Marvel into like this Fear and Loathing kind of. Have you seen the movie Fear and Loathing? And like, you know how like it just kind of gets like weird and like acidy. He basically throws him into like some kind of like thing like that, and it's like some whirlwind that he tosses him into. And then Marvel says, "Do what you must, but as long as I'm breathing, you can't beat me." Thanos says, "Okay, cool." Well, he's like, "Then I'm gonna kill you." So Thanos is trying to kill him. He starts draining Marvel of all of his life immediately, and then it's working because Marvel's like turning into like this old like crippled old man. Like he's lost all of his hair. He has like no teeth. It's nuts. And then old man Marvel is still making his way to the cosmic cube, just slowly crawling over there. And then he finally reaches it, and then as soon as he touches it, this large blast goes off. And then a loud, long scream comes from the sky, and Thanos just disappears. And then we cut to Death, and she's laughing her ass off right now. She's dying laughing right now. And it's because it seems like she may have finally gotten the death that she always wanted. So we assume that he died there. And then everything seemingly goes back into place. The false Earth that Thanos created somehow becomes converged with all the billions of humans from the other Earth coming back, including all of the other Avengers. With all of the stress of the event, everyone remains silent for a while. They don't say a single thing to each other at all. It's just all these Avengers just kind of standing there, staring into space. Like, what the hell was that? And then Mantis, being able to read the minds of everyone around her, sees that no one worshipped Thanos in the first place. Not even Thanos worshipped himself. He worshipped Death. and for that reason, Death could not worship him. Marvel is in shambles because he won the battle but caused a lot of death along the way. And then Drax is just kind of out of sorts because his life is like purposeless now. Like that was his only thing he had to do. And then it ends with that was pretty much the end of it. But the last thing that's said in the whole thing is with each victory there is loss. With each relief there is regret. Only a few can understand. And to understand is to choose a life with no simple choices. And that's the end of part 2.
Wow.
Wow.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Imagine reading that for a year.
Man, I'd have to go back. Every time a new issue came out, I'd have to go back and read the whole thing.
That would, I mean, for an ending, that is probably one of the better ones in terms of, like, the grand scale of it and, like, Thanos actually becoming a god and... Yeah, like, just the him being huge in the sky and everything, like...
I mean, this is only the second 2-part episode we've had, but this part 2 is definitely better than the Kree Skrull War and how it ended. I think that the part 2 of this is better than the first half of the story.
Yeah,
for sure. Because there's so much going on in the first half, but with this is like, like you said, like there was like he was actually working towards something and achieved it. Granted, he didn't think far enough into like maintaining it for himself, but but just the fact that he did what he said he was going to do, and then the plans just got foiled at the end. But I thought it was a good story.
Sounded good.
Yeah. I definitely recommend people read it. This is not bad. We'll give ourselves a quick break and then we'll go into the rating. All right.
Back from that break.
I'll let you go first. What are you giving it?
I give it like a 4 out of 5 webheads. Specifically just because, I mean, in terms of like comic books, they tend to do that like kind of like, I don't know, I feel like Thanos, he never actually gets what he wants.
No.
He gets close. He might actually get there, but he doesn't maintain it.
Yeah.
And I feel like this story is sort of like all of his other stories, you know? It's like he does all these terrible things. You think he's going to win and like he can destroy heroes and kill people and this and that, but at the end of the day he still ends up losing.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, even though this was a good story, I feel like I've seen it before with his other stories.
Yeah.
So that would be the only reason why I would kind of not give it a full 5, but I do like that it's not just Thanos versus the Avengers, and it's more like I guess like this ragtag kind of group of just like newer characters.
Well, the Avengers didn't really come in until like midway through.
Yeah.
But even then it wasn't like, they didn't do anything to stop Thanos. Like,
yeah, there was really no like intervention at all from any of the heroes. Like Iron Man was kind of just dragged into it.
Yeah.
Drax wanted to destroy Thanos, but like couldn't, you know, and then Captain Marvel was just kind of going back and forth and not really doing too much in the first place anyways.
Like there was so much of the story that like should have lent it to like Thanos' favor, where like so much was happening where like there's no reason he shouldn't have pulled this off. And then he couldn't do it. But it was like it's funny because I do like a story. Like, that's why I liked Infinity War, because at the end of it, for all we knew, Thanos won. Yeah, obviously we know another movie's coming, but like there's not too many times where the villain actually does what he says he's going to do. And then that's the end of the story.
And like every time he showed up, he was kicking ass.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like he was getting his ass kicked the whole time, and then at the end he just like miraculously like won. You know, it's like he kicks ass.
No, he like constantly. Everybody that pisses him off, he gets rid of them or beats their ass.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna give it a 4. I think the only reason I don't give it a 5 is because there's so much switching back and forth from story to story. Like there's so many like, it's one event, but there's like, felt like there was like 3 different like stories that were like intertwining with each other. And it's like, I get it. it did tell the story, but it was just like, all right, here's Avengers in Avengers Mansion. Here's Rick and Captain Marvel in space. Here's Iron Man and Ben in fucking
and like
Arizona.
introducing the Thing for what? Like he doesn't join the fight. He
Nothing.
doesn't. He has a fight with Super Skrull, and then that's it.
And the Blood Brothers, and that's it.
Yeah, and then he's just in the desert.
Yeah. That's the only reason I'm not giving it a 5, is just because, like, some of the intertwining wasn't necessary.
The Skrulls didn't do anything either.
No, nothing really. So yeah, I'm sticking with the 4. But yeah, that was part 2 of the Thanos War. Still think it's one of the better stories that we.
They're getting better.
Yeah, we're getting close to the 80s. Think next week's our Hawkeye special.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I think we're getting into the 80s. We're almost there, guys.
Getting more modern.
Yeah. The artwork is great, though.
Yeah, I love that the artwork's getting a lot more. It's getting a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
It's more detailed. They're not just getting they're not getting away with like the simple like, I'm falling, and then it's like it's the same pose for everybody. Yeah. But I like it.
Yeah, we're getting there, guys. These stories are getting better. We've heard a lot of feedback about our microphones, and how much better the
just the microphones.
Storytelling, I'm not gonna mention it, but the sound of it.
You guys are show us shit, but this quality, perfecto.
If I didn't have to listen to you guys talk, perfect show.
It was a turd. Now it's a polished turd.
So thank you for the feedback, Fariel. I appreciate it. But yeah, these mics are going well for us. I've got a lot of compliments. Shout out to everybody that's been following on Instagram.
Yeah, thanks.
Everybody that's been listening. We are inching closer to 200 listeners now.
Damn.
200 downloads.
Nice.
Yeah. When only, I want to say it was about a month ago, maybe, we hit 100.
Dang.
So now
not bad.
We're inching closer to 200. So we're getting there, guys. Not even 20 episodes in, we're heading there. So thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for suggestions and all that. Yeah, shout out to my other show, Memories Not Guaranteed. As I'm saying this, we just put out my birthday episode, but this will come out later. So go ahead and listen to my birthday episode, and then listen to all the other ones before and after, because we should have some out for that.
Yeah, shout out to all of your friends on there, Juan, Kyle,
Monica, Manny for filling in for Monica that one time. Yeah, shout out to Danny, and shout out to everyone else.
Yeah, shout out Fariel, Zara, Grandma, Mom, Dad's probably not listening to this. Stanley, Greg's in the other room outside the studio, and that's it. That's all I got this week.
Yep.
So you guys will hear from us next week when we do the Hawkeye special.
For the TV show, premiering in November.
Yes. Because we are in November.
Yeah.
At the moment. All right, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.